So we're going to learn, actually, I know with all that's going on in the Temple Mount now and so on, we're going to ask a question. We know that the Temple Mount is the holiest place in Judaism in the world. The holiest place in the world is Temple Mount, is Har HaBayis, is the Beis HaMikdash. That's the holiest place in the world. Which is very sad sometimes when you see what's going on over there. A Jew is actually not allowed to go up on there now because they're impure or whatever, so on. There's complications. It's not so simple. We're not allowed to go up on the Temple Mount. So the question we want to ask today is a philosophical question, and that is philosophical. It's a question. The question that we want to address today is, how could it be that certain places in the world are considered holier than other places? Isn't Hashem everywhere? How could it be? If God is everywhere, God is the infinite creator of the world, who is infinite, who's everywhere, is not in any place, how could it be that you will say that there's certain areas that are more holy one than another? How could that be? How is it possible? I mean, how could right? How could we say, let's say, a shul is holier than any other place? How could you say that Israel is holier than any other country in the world? How could you say that the Temple Mount is holier than any place even in Israel? And how could you say that we're exactly where the temple is, the Holy of Holies, right? Within the Beis HaMikdash, we had the Holy of Holies. That was like a kohen could only go there once a year. That's the holiest place in the world. How could you say that? Hashem is everywhere, exists everywhere around the whole world. Right? So that's the question we want to address in today's class. Good question. Okay, good. So I see Irina is starting to answer the question. We will address it. That's going to be the topic for today's class in Tanya. Now, I want to just give you the flow. How does this fit in? For the last month, I don't know how long we've been learning, the last 10 chapters of Tanya we've been learning about the importance of passion and emotion and love to Hashem, that our mitzvahs shouldn't be dead mitzvahs, our mitzvahs should be alive because they're backed by passion and emotion. We're now concluding Tanya, chapter 51, 52, and 53. There's 53 chapters of Tanya. We're going to conclude in the next week or two, actually literally the next few days, we're going to wrap it up and connect this whole book. Once we spoke about the importance of passion and emotion behind your mitzvahs, we're now going back to like chapter 35, over a month ago, and talk about it's very nice and good and passion's important, but the bottom line is you got to do the mitzvah. That's the bottom line. And it's not denying anything we said, but as we're wrapping it up, we want to talk about the importance of doing the actual mitzvah. So to do that, we're going to talk about why is it that certain places in the world we're saying are holier than others, when in fact the whole world is filled with Hashem's glory. And that is the question that we're going to address, my friends, in today's Tanya. We're still a little bit behind. We're catching up. I hope between today and tomorrow we're going to catch up. Today, we're going back to Wednesday's Tanya, which is where we left off. And we're going to do today Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. And then tomorrow we're going to do Shabbos, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and we will be all caught up. Okay. We're going to explain an analogy, an example from Kabbalah, from the Zohar, that we gave in Tanya a couple chapters ago. I don't know, a month ago, whenever we studied. What was the example we gave? We have to review a little bit. Let's talk about that example that we said. He said that the Zohar says that there is the person is like a wick, and there is the fire, which is godliness, Hashem's presence, and there is the mitzvahs, which are the oil. The Torah and mitzvahs are the oil. So a fire needs a wick, otherwise a fire will just fly away. A fire needs oil, otherwise it will just burn the wick and fly away. It needs constant oil, the gasoline, the oil to keep on burning, to keep it going. And it needs the fire, is the godliness that you want. So what's the analogy? The wick is the body, is the human being that the fire can burn on. The oil, the mitzvahs are the oil which keep the fire going, burn, the energy for the fire to keep on burning. And the fire is godliness, is Hashem's presence, the Shekhinah, which rests on us. So we want to explain that parable. We're not going to get into it now, but the question we have, here's the complication. The complication is why is the oil compared to mitzvahs? All other places, without explaining why now, all of the places, whenever we talk about oil represents wisdom, intellect. Oil represents wisdom and intellect. It's funny that the Zohar, in the analogy of the wick, fire, and oil analogy, is comparing oil to mitzvahs, that mitzvahs are what make the fire burn. Why? Oil's always used as an analogy for wisdom. And that's the question that we have, but we're not going to discuss that now. That's just how we're starting off the chapter tiny. So to understand the analogy, why is it that the oil is not just mitzvahs, is also, which is wisdom, is now here represented as mitzvahs? So to explain that, first we got to explain something else. We have to understand this, that we say that the greatest revelation of godliness was in the Holy of Holies in the Beis HaMikdash. We have to understand that. And he's going to ask the question now that he started off the class mentioning. That's his question. Everywhere we say God's presence is, you feel holy, you go to a tzaddik's grave, sometimes you feel the level of holiness over there. You're in shul, you're saying the shul is a holy place, the Sefer Torah is a holy place. What do you mean that's a holy place? And a bathroom's less holy, I guess, what do you mean God's not in the bathroom? God's more in the shul than in my car, than in my dining room, in my living room, my bedroom? Why are you saying that there are certain places that we recognize and consider and feel even that there's a greater holiness, when you go to pray in Sfas, Meron, or whatever, it's a greater holiness there that everybody goes there? Why Hashem is equally everywhere around the world? Haloi, isn't it? Don't we say, and he's quoting a verse to prove this point, God's presence is everywhere. There actually is nowhere in the world which God is not. So Hashem is everywhere. Hashem's here, right? The song, Hashem's there, Hashem's everywhere. Hashem is everywhere. Where is there not God? So how could it be that the Holy of Holies all of a sudden becomes so holy and only allowed to go there once a year? How could it be that we could say that Hashem is holier in some places more than the other ones? So to answer this question, the idea here is we're going to quote a verse in Job, a famous verse. It says, that from my own flesh, from my own body, from my from who I am as a person, I could understand godliness. I'll connect with Hashem. It's something we know. It's pretty cool. Instead of figuring out the cosmos from going out very far, sometimes you could dig into yourself, dig into your own, to who you are, and you can figure everything else out, right? Because so a person is like a little world. We're a miniature world. What's called small Italy, whatever, you have like a miniature Lego set. I've been to one of these Lego places. They have like the whole Manhattan built in there. So if you look in yourself, in your heart, in your makeup, so everything's made up of everything. So the huge experience, the creation, expansiveness of the creation of all the worlds and all the dimensions and all the levels, you can actually understand it from looking into yourself. And that's what we do often. We look into ourselves and we understand what's going on. So that's what we're going to do here too. We're going to use that verse that Job said, that from ourselves, we will recognize God, and that's what we're going to do. And we'll understand this idea that there's a holy of holies, certain areas in the temple that are holier than other places. We'll understand this idea, by looking into how the soul operates within the body. Your soul, your godly soul, the soul that the human being has. Where in your body is it? That's the question. So where is it? So you'll say, look, it's everywhere. I'm alive. I exist. That means the soul is within me. Is your soul in your stomach? Yes. My soul's in my stomach. Is your soul in your head? Yes. Is it in your hand? Yes. Is it in your toes? Yes. Your soul's everywhere. It feels actually, and he uses these numbers, 248, right? Remember, because it's very interesting. We have 630 mitzvahs. We break it down to two parts, 248 positive and the 365 prohibitions. That's how we break it up, this 613. Well, according to different areas in the Torah, it says that the body is actually made up of 248 limbs. If you broke apart and looked at all the different limbs there were, you'd come to the number 248. And if you looked at the sinews, the veins, the nerves, you would come to 365. So the body is actually made up of that number. But that's not the point he's making here, that we want to look into the human being and see the world, because you look into the person and you see Hashem and creation and everything else. But here he's saying is that the soul of a man, of a person, where is it? It's everywhere equally around the body. Nevertheless, even so, that we're going to say, where is my soul? It's everywhere. The main seat, the root, the beginning of where the experience of the main part of where the soul is, which is identifiable in the human being, is Mahamayach, is in the brain. From the brain, it shoots out and branches out to the rest of the body. So on one hand, the soul is everywhere equally. On the other hand, the brain, I think even in medicine, biology, we know today, we see how important the brain is, that the brain is basically the managing and running operations of the whole body. And he's agreeing with that in Kabbalah and Chassidus, that the main seat of the soul is actually in the brain. And each limb, exactly like we learn in medicine today, right? That each part of the body is receiving from the brain exactly how much energy it needs, depending on its composure and character. Meaning, the eye has a very specific kind of biological character that it's made. It has a thin skin, and it has a pupil, and it could see, and the light bounces off it. So the brain gives the eye the correct amount of energy, right? What it needs to be able to see. And then the foot, it gives a totally different kind of energy. For the nail to grow on the foot, it gives totally, for your hair to grow, it gives another kind of energy. Ayin lirois, the eye to see. It gives the ear the ability to be able to hear. Not totally different kind of energy. Imagine if it gave the ear energy to the eye, or vice versa. The brain is the command control of the body operations, and it gives the right amount of energy to each thing. It gives the mouth the ability to speak. And the feet to walk. Everyone gets. The brain is in control. It's at the home base, and it's giving off how much energy each thing needs. Just like we see in the physical, the body. That the brain feels everything that takes place in the 248 limbs. So where do you feel pain? You feel it in the brain, right? I think this is simple, basic stuff that we know today. That the brain is what's feeling the sensation of the body. All the 248 limbs. Anything that's going to happen, you're going to burn them, it's going to feel like it's being burnt. Whatever you do, you're going to poke it, it'll feel like it's being poked. So the brain is the seat of the soul, and therefore the brain is operating, gives how much energy everything needs, and is also feeling whatever's going on, because he is the beginning and the root and the core, the root of the energy that goes throughout the rest of the body. Very interesting. This is what we learn actually in regular biology too. Now, he's going to get a little bit more Kabbalistic on you over here. Get a little bit more, I'm going to go a little deeper. The differences, these differences, right? The unique energy needed for the eye, for the foot, for the nose, for the ear, each unique energy that needs a very specific energy to work, to exist. That comes from the neshama, comes from the soul. Does that uniqueness exist within the soul? In other words, does the soul have within itself an energy that's a nose energy, a foot energy, and then the soul goes into the body and then applies each energy that's already within the soul? Or here's the other option, or the soul is just a blanket energy that has no details. It has the potential to be used to then be administered to each of the items specifically, but it itself is no form and shape. And then the brain will then do the work and kind of take this, just no shape energy and then shoot it, apply it to each of the body as it exists. So does the soul in itself have the characteristics of the body, or the soul is just no shape or form, and the brain will then do all the work and take the soul and then apply it and make each one to it on its own? We'll take a vote. No, I'm just kidding. We'll just gonna go. You can take a vote in your head, see which way you think, and we're gonna say that no, the soul doesn't have any unique shape or form of your nose, of your ear, or so on. The soul doesn't know about it. The soul is just blank. It has the potential to use that energy, right? I think a good example would be electricity in your wall. The electric in your wall doesn't know that he's about to be Saturday night, right? And I did 3 loads in my dishwasher, Motzi Shabbos, to wash all the dishes that I had of Shabbos. So I love the dishwasher. You just stick the things in it, it comes out clean. So the energy that was used had no idea that it was going to be used for a dishwasher to wash the dishes, or some of it was used for my fridge. The electricity, the energy doesn't know, but then each thing it's able to use for any of those things. And each of the components has a compressor or whatever, has a special machine that knows how to take that blanket energy, that just non-shaped energy, and turn it into whatever it wants to do. So that's the soul, that's the neshama. The neshama is pure, and the brain will then do all the work. That's what he's going to say now. There's no difference to the soul of what kind of energies will be used in the body. The soul itself is not split into 248 parts for each unique limb. to then go and then, okay, this part of the soul goes to there, this part goes to there. To the 248 parts of the body. No, it doesn't work like that. Soul doesn't have 248 parts and then it's dresses up perfectly into 248 parts of the body. So because then, if you were to say that, then you would say that the soul has a very physical shape. It has a nose element, whatever it is. It might not look like a nose, physical nose, but it has the energy of a nose. Because it has to fit in, then it has to fit exactly into where it's going, and it has to have the unique energy to match the shape of where it's going. And we don't believe that in souls. Souls is a pure thing. Souls is not a very limited shape kind of oriented item. It's not the shape of the body. The soul doesn't recognize, it doesn't match up to the shape of the body, that you then take the soul and stick the soul inside the body and everything matches its thing. From the soul's perspective, it's just one pure energy. It's one singular energy. That has no shape, no form, no color. It's not in any time, it's not in any place, it's not in your physical world. It's not even within a certain amount of time. You live in a world of time, it's actually beyond that. By the soul, individual essence of the soul, it actually is not with any of your physical limited characteristics, right? Like the electricity doesn't know when you're going to use it. Today, tomorrow, I don't know what machine. It could be anything, the energy is saying. And therefore, you can't say it's more in the head than in the feet. The soul is equally everywhere. To the soul itself, from its perspective, from the soul's own entity and identity, it makes no difference where the head is, where the feet is. It doesn't know about that. It doesn't know about the feet. It's higher than heads and feet. It's higher than shapes. It's higher than time. It's higher than place. It doesn't exist within the limitations of the human body. Because it's higher than time and place. It's kind of infinite in that sense. It's connected to the infinite. It's higher than the physical realm, right? So like we think about souls and afterlife. They could go through walls, I don't know, whatever, or angels. Like they're not within our physical realm of our physical world. The soul does not have in its existence, in its identity, this stuff. Rak, it's only shetayag, koiches, v'chayis, klulim, but it's only that the 613 energies are potentially, they could come out of there and turn into any of those things. So the electricity, the energy here has the potential to then be used for the eye, be used for the mouth. It's not that, but it has the potential to be express itself in any of those ways. So it has the potential for 613 expressions. By connecting the soul to the body, it will express itself in any of those 613 ways, right? I could use it for my MP3 player, electricity for my MP3 player if I want. I could use it to play the piano, the keyboard, right? I could use it to blow the leaves, whatever it is, for my electric drill. I could use the energy in any of those ways. There has a potential to then go into those any things. The soul has a potential to become any of those 613 options that it could turn into. So the soul itself needs to be revealed, but essentially it's not neither of them, none of them. It's all of them. It has a potential for all of them, but the question is, how is it going to be revealed? That's the question. To come out, to then be revealed in the 248 limbs, to give life to the 248 limbs, or the 365 sinews, the nerves, the veins, the vessels, the body, by the pure soul dressing up in the physical soul. Every physical creation has a soul. So the godly soul will then meet up with the physical creation and connect with him and energize him, which the vitalizing soul has these, because it's creating the body, these energies to create the body. So the godly soul will come to the body soul, and that's when they'll meet up, and the godly soul will come into the body. But itself, it's pure. Anything could take it and channel it and move it in any way that it wants to. Okay, let's continue on with Tanya with what's the Hine. But then this revelation of the 613 potential energy turning into the 613 energies that go on to create the existence of the body. Allah Amru, on this, the revelation of that energy, on this they said, Sheikir Mishkana Vashrasa Shalom Shakazu Begilizu, Zehu Kula B'Meichet Shabarayis. Where is it revealed when the godly soul goes from potential into creating the vital soul, which is then bringing it down to be revealed in the body, the revelation of it, that is mostly in the brain, in the mind. So you're not the way the soul is essentially by itself, it makes no difference where it is. However, it's all about revelation, revealing when the soul starts being projected and revealed into our world, which we could see it, that's where it's going to make a difference. And it's revealed much more in the brain. You see much more of that revelation in the brain than anywhere else in the body. And therefore, he's going to say we understand a few things about the soul then because of the system. Therefore, the brain gets the energy first. It first gets the energy from the soul in the brain to what the brain needs. It gives it all the nourishment, whatever, the energy that the brain needs to exist. Which is, as we broke down the brain before, to wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, right? Conception, comprehension, and application. The soul goes in, it fills up the brain, it gives the brain the energy it needs to be a brain, so a mind. All the parts that make the brain operate and work come through the soul into the brain, the first one that gets it, and it gets a good revealed energy to create the essence of your brain. And then not just does it get first and fill up with energy first, to be first, it actually then becomes a center command and in control of all the other limbs, because all the other limbs work through the brain. They're all within the operating system of the soul. So it's not that your foot is thinking or your, like, I think I remember once I went to pray by someone who actually woke up, they were a vegetable, and it was a big miracle. They ended up waking up. They were in a coma, and the guy told me that we know the brain's still a little bit working because the body, I don't remember exactly, needs a certain amount of salt to make the body run. And that means, even though he looks like a vegetable, he can't speak or so on, but the brain is still functioning, that the other guys, otherwise the guy would die. He's fluctuating, whatever that means, the salt amounts of the body of someone, however it works, which means that the brain is still working. So everything happens. So now not just is the brain the first one and gets the full-on revelation, most revealed or beginning revelation of the soul within the brain then hands off that energy to other parts of the body. And they're operated on, they're within the brain. So all the other elements of the body are then being operated from the brain. The brain is operating them. And there is the main seat of where the soul reveals itself in a revealed way, because again, we're talking about revealed, not revealed, it makes no difference to the soul. In a revealed way, that's where you're going to see most of the soul over there. And from that brain, it then shoots off the energy to all the other parts of the limbs. The brain makes it that each limb should get exactly what it needs based on his character, right? And he gives the eye the energy to see, and the ear to hear. And he is a very smart, brilliant thing that Hashem made, is that the brain gives each unique part of the body its unique energy. And all energies come from the brain, because that's the main part where the soul is revealed. So the soul is revealed there, so everything has to then come from there and go to the rest of the body. He says this is the same way the sun shines in many rooms, right? You have one sun that's in one place, but the sunlight can go through this window and that window. It's in my house, it's in your house, wherever we are now, the sun is shining in our rooms. So it could work the same thing. The brain is the seat of the operations, it's the energy that's revealed, and then from there it could sort it out to 613 different parts of the body, could then be operating all from that original energy, the same way sunlight could shine in many different places. Now we're going to say something very interesting about the heart. The heart, although being also a very powerful, important part of the body, but the fact is still, who is operating the heart? The brain is operating the heart, right? I think even physically, that's the way it works. The same thing is here. Since the energy mainly and originally and first comes into the brain, and although the heart is pumping and is a very, very important to the existence of the human being, the fact is the brain is operating the heart. It first comes to the brain, and the brain gives all the energy that the heart needs. And that's why, and that's why by a human being, the brain controls the heart by default, because that is the way the mechanism is created. In other words, The brain is the boss. The brain is the first one that gets the energy, and the brain is the one that gives the energy to the heart. And therefore, by human beings, it has to be that the brain is in control of the heart because he's the boss. He's the one giving out the money. He's the one giving out the energy to the rest of the body. So therefore, the brain is even in control of the heart, even though sometimes we feel like it's not like that. But you should know the fact is it has to be like that because the brain is the one that's controlling the heart. Because he's the one who's originating the energy, who's giving the energy to the heart. So how could the heart control the brain? It must be that the brain controls the heart. And so too. Now, beautiful analogy, right? We're understanding God through our body. How does our body work? Pure soul. Soul's everywhere equally how it is essentially. However, once you talk about revelation, it's revealing revealing the soul in the brain, and from there, the revealed revelation in our world of this energy is then passed from the brain to the rest of the body, even to the heart. So too, adarach mashal, by way of analogy, is the God in the world. That how we start to understand. We said, let's understand God in our world through us. Why is there certain places that there seems more holiness than another? Hashem. So too, Hashem is vivifying. He's giving life and energy to the world to make them live. Hashem fills up our world in order to make our world exist. Otherwise, our world wouldn't exist. In every world, there is infinite amount of creations, right? We're not just talking about our physical world. We're talking about the four worlds in Kabbalah, Tzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya, the four worlds. In every world, there's infinite amount of creations. There's myriads and myriads, tons and tons of angels and neshamas and souls. And the amount of worlds is infinite amount of worlds. Gavaya, one higher than the next. Because what does it mean? In our world, physical things mean there's two physical items, like two cups. I have one, I have two, and they're next to each other because they're both take in different space. One is a little to the right, one's a little to the left, right? You know, this is where in the world is it? But in the place where there is no time and space, or where there's more spiritual worlds, what makes one world different than the other? It's the level. It's the level of it. It's the intelligence of it. It's the different energy of it. The difference of each world is a different energy, a different level. Now look, the essence of infinite energy of Hashem is equal in the upper world and the lower world. There's no difference to Hashem how he is essentially. Like the soul earlier, just like the soul in the body, but you want to talk to the soul itself, it makes no difference. I don't even know about a nose and eyes or a foot. Regarding Hashem's infinite energy, it makes no difference. Like it says in Kabbalah and Tikkunim, Hashem's hidden from all hidden. Even the highest, most hidden worlds from us, relative to those worlds, God's hidden from them too. They don't get God either. God's hidden within the hidden worlds, just like he's hidden from us. In other words, between us and the angels, relative to God, there's no difference. We don't understand God, and the angels don't understand God. Relative to God, he's hidden even from the hidden things. Because no mind, anything that's a physical mind, can't understand God. I feel about even the highest worlds. So Hashem's hidden equally from everything, how God is essentially. And actually, there's no difference. God is here and there equally. There's no difference between the highest, most spiritual dimensions, creations. God is here exactly like he is there. The Hebdel, so what's the difference? Why is there such a big difference between higher spiritual worlds and angels than us? It's the way the light is revealed. That's the difference, that the way the infinite energy is revealed and brought down and brought in and shining in a revealed way, that is the way there's a difference. So Hashem's essence is no difference. It's only the way Hashem is revealed and the energy is brought out. That's why Hasidus really likes the word reveal, a light, likes the word light. Because light is about revealing something. I guess when the room's dark, it doesn't mean the room doesn't exist. The room is still there. Everything that's in the room is still there. You just don't see it. But you turn on the light, it's there. So what happens is just a little bit of light was turned on that's revealing that Hashem exists over there. So it's not making Hashem exist there. Hashem is there anyway, before and after. It's just opening the light a little bit to let you shine. So it really Hasidus likes to use the example of light, because it's not that anything new is happening here. It was here the whole time. It's just allowing you to see, and it's just revealing to you what's going on. Why do we need to turn on the light? Because that turning on the light makes those things exist, at least in our world, in our perspective, that's making those items exist. You got to turn on the light, reveal them to make them exist. Otherwise, it's just the infinite energy of Hashem. So what happens is the light is a little bit brighter. They have, sunlight or higher luminescence, whatever, higher, a little bit brighter lights in the higher world. So there, Hashem, it's a little higher. They're able to see more of Hashem in the higher worlds. And then every creation is created by how much the light is turned on. Oh, I see what's going on. I see what's going on. How much light are you giving me? That's actually not just letting you see what's going on, but it's actually creating that level creation. So by the light turning on higher, the higher level you are, and the higher creation is. That's how much the infinite energy of Hashem is allowing the existence to be, depending on how much light He's going to reveal. In the lower world, even the spiritual lower world, get a lower level light that's turned on in order for what we're allowed to see is less than the higher worlds are allowed to see. And it's very, very hidden in our world. It's so many covers, one on top of another curtain, another curtain, until our world was created. The light bulb is a very dark light bulb that Hashem uses in order to give our world energy, so we only should be able to see a little bit, as we explained in the other chapters of Tanya, so we feel like we're independent existence. And there's so many closings and so many curtains and so many dressings up, the coverings to hide Hashem's infinite energy until so low, till He created till He created a material world, a physical world, agashmi, mamish, a literally corporal, materialistic, physical world. That's how much the light is hidden. That's a little light we're getting. And Hashem is making it live and exist. Through this light being turned on, that's what's making our world exist in our very limited way. It's a kind of light that's hidden and covered within many clothes and coverings, infinite amount, tremendous amount of coverings that cover up this light until we cannot see almost at all. Until materialistic, physical things can be created, and they look dead. So here you have Hashem creating them, but there's so little energy that's shining in them that they look dead. They look like a rock that can't move. Where you don't see any energy. However, you should know in that rock, in that thing that looks dead, the mere fact that it exists, I don't care how dead it looks, it means that Hashem made it. It means that Hashem, otherwise it would be nothing. That means that Hashem is creating it from nothing to something, because otherwise it will just turn to nothing. In other words, the natural state of everything created is that it doesn't exist before Hashem created it. So it will just turn to its original state. If not for the fact that every single moment and every single second, Hashem is making it exist. So what energy is making it exist? For Arzahu, not the one we could see, but truth be told, it's the infinite energy of Hashem. You just don't see it because it's hidden, because there's very little light left for you to see. So it really is everything that's in the world, even the most dead thing, really is being created by the infinite energy of Hashem. The only thing is you can't see it. Like it says in the book of Eitz Chaim and Kabbalah, that the physical, materialistic world that we see, it is the world of Asiya, the lowest of the four worlds. And within the lowest world, there's 10 energies that make up the world. The lowest one is called Malchus. It's from the lowest one. And within that lowest energy, there are another 10 energies, and the lowest one is Malchus. So it's from the lowest of the lowest of the lowest world is what our world is created from. We are the lowest because we're the most hidden, the least revealed godliness of Hashem in our world. Until that, but however, when you look in the lowest world, within though, the fact is, the curtains that are hiding us, you move away a curtain, you see, it goes a little bit higher. It comes from a little bit, in other words, take away a curtain, you realize, this really comes from a higher energy. Until you get to the highest of the four worlds, the 10 energies of the highest world of Atzilus. And in Atzilus, we know it's totally nullified and feels the godliness is the only real thing. With the infinite energy of Hashem. And that, my friends, I think is the end of today's Tanya. Now, which is going to explain, I don't know, is there one more? Yeah, it is the end. I think we're going to continue explaining the Tanya that, I guess this answers the question of the Beis Hamikdash. It's because God is everywhere, of course. 100% Hashem is everywhere at every moment. However, what is it telling us that Hashem's revealed, allowing a little more light one place than another? And that's why the Beis Hamikdash would seem to have more energy. It's not that God's really more in the Beis Hamikdash and the Holy of Holies than anywhere else. God's equally everywhere. It's just that the most light that Hashem allows is in the Holy of Holies. And we're going to learn in tomorrow's Tanya that is through Torah, and we're going to learn more about how that light gets to the Holy of Holies, to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. We'll learn more about that tomorrow. Any questions or comments as we wrap up today's class? Let's see. Oh, a lot of notes over here. Let me see if we can get through that. Benjamin was the smallest of